Welcome to Tanakh Talk. I'm your host, JulieTaylor, hosting from Palmer, Alaska, and broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, with another episode of Women's World with Leah Michaelson from the Holy Land of Israel. Yay!
Yay!
I love saying the Holy Land of Israel. That's so awesome.
It is. It is. It really is. It's truly an incredible place to live, and such a blessing to be in this holy land.
Yes.
So
it's so good
to see you.
You too.
How are you?
Well, I'm good. I was just saying, how are you? Isn't the host supposed to ask first?
Yes, I'm sorry. I guess I jumped in.
No, it's okay.
I just get so excited when I see you.
Me too. Every week seems like it's forever, doesn't it?
It does. It's like the week seems like it's so long, but then it comes around and it's like, wait, where did the week go? And excited that we're back.
I know.
And it's wonderful.
So I love it.
Do you hear that?
What am I hearing?
I'm hearing bells. Do you have some news, Julie? I'm hearing some bells.
Oh, my goodness.
Putting you on the spot.
You are putting me on the spot, but that's okay. Last Monday, I did get engaged. So,
Yay.
Yeah. We don't know exactly when, but maybe sometime this summer.
Wonderful.
Might be kind of quick, but yes, I got a little rock on my finger.
Oh, care to show it up a little bit?
I think.
Look how
there you
beautiful.
Go.
Mazal tov.
Thank
Julie's
you so much.
Julie's getting married.
You're so
exciting.
Cute. Thank you so much.
Exciting. So
yeah,
that's
I'm pretty excited.
Wonderful news, and things are good there.
Oh yeah, things are going good. Got my greenhouse full of plants and got a bunch of chickens and being all Mrs. Farmer now.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. What's going on in your life and in the beautiful land over there?
Well, it cooled off finally, Baruch Hashem. I think it was cool last week when we had our show. So, I mean, it's just after 5 here in Israel, and it's about almost 81 degrees still. So it's not bad. It's dry. So it's actually quite nice going out. It's not so bad now wearing the mask. So we did have a little bit of an increase with the COVID-19, apparently just with some of the schools in a couple of our cities. So we just have all the kids and the teachers, staff, anybody that was around the one person, because it was just one child. But Baruch Hashem, everybody is good. So
good.
They're just making sure that everybody wears their mask and their social distancing, and so we're just trying to protect one another, protect ourselves and one another. So it's good. And but I want to dedicate our show for my mother-in-law. I mentioned her last week. I don't have a mother-in-law. I have a mother-in-love.
That's sweet.
She's not doing well over the past week or so. She's just had a rapid progression of dementia, which we've never seen. I mean, I've dealt with a family member with Alzheimer's, and we've never seen anything like this within a week to a week and a half. It just, the decline that's happened, it's really bad, and we don't know what's going to happen. We can't do an MRI for her. I mean, well, the doctors can't, excuse me, but I mean, her doctor doesn't even want to put her through that. So we're just trying to get her into a neurologist to see if there's something to alleviate it, but we don't know what's causing it to happen so fast. I mean, cognitively, you know, we'll talk with her, and there's times where she just has very lucid moments, and then other times where words come out and it was like, okay. It's just, not making sense. And so there's good times and there's not so good times. So it's hard, because here we are in Israel, so it's very hard for my husband and also hard for my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, who my mother-in-law lives with her. She's been living with her now for at least a couple of years. So it's just been very difficult because she can't lift her. So I'd like to dedicate the show for the Refuah Shlema for her, for Hinda Bachaika.
Yes, and definitely.
Refuah Shlema, and Hashem would just have mercy on her. She's just in a place where she's like, you know what? I've had a good life. So.
Well, I'm real sorry to hear that, and she'll be in my prayers. You all be in our prayers.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
What a hard thing to see someone that you love go through that, boy.
It is. And I've dealt with it and that family member, but that was a slow progression. So it's just, we'll see, every day, we're just checking in every day and seeing what's happening. So hopefully we'll have some more news soon and we'll see what happens. Hashem's the one that decides when it's our time.
He does. Yep, he does.
So,
but
so Baruch Hashem, we've had all this time with her, and so we'll see.
Yeah.
But we'd love to have more, but it's up to Hashem.
For sure.
So last week we had a number of people from around the world tuning in with us.
We did.
So ladies, let us know where you're tuning in from. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, we should keep a poll and count how many countries are tuning in or something.
Yeah, I think, what was it last week? I think Germany, England, and I don't know, was it Sweden? I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember too. Yeah.
I don't remember, but
just Finland maybe? I don't remember.
Maybe it was.
And we apologize for not remembering, but
But ladies, we're just so glad you're with us.
Welcome.
Week and listening. We love being able to come and to share with you. And and a side note, Julie, if I may, just gentlemen, I know we say this each week, but just a nice, gentle reminder that this show is for the women, and to please refrain from making any comments in our chat room or anything. We're happy that you want to join and watch, but we'd like to keep a safe space for the women to ask questions or comment or anything during this time. And ladies, we welcome your questions and comments and keep them coming. We love hearing from you.
Definitely, we sure do.
So last week, we talked about Shavuot and receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai, and having a deeper level of revelation of Torah. And it was a wonderful time of Shavuot just a few days ago. Just incredible. And we also talked about Ruth and Naomi. And for Ruth, that she did not want to go back. She didn't want to return to her life as a princess. She decided she wanted to move forward. And just to repeat just her statement, her passionate and beautiful statement that she had said to Naomi was that, do not urge me to leave you or to return from following you. For where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. And may the Lord do so to me, and more also, if anything but death parts me from you. And it was just really such a beautiful thing. And we know that Ruth became a convert. So I titled the show, Now What? Because last week, the children of Israel arrived and we came to Mount Sinai to receive the Torah. And as I mentioned, it was just a wonderful time of celebrating this past week. And so, but now what? What are we doing now? So before we continue to talk about the children of Israel, I want to talk about the Noahide woman, because a number of our listeners are Noahide. And ladies, you've left your old beliefs. Many of the women have come out of Christianity, or what I call Hebrew Christianity. Some will know it as Messianic Judaism. And so a lot of them might just have been fresh out, have just recently come out, and now it's like, okay, now what? And I know there are some that go through, I guess we could say, like an identity crisis, because you had been involved in the old ways for so long. And Julie, I know you and I were just talking back and forth private messaging, because I was asking you about it. And if you had a struggle, I mean, like with fitting in, what do I do? So do you want to share a little bit about that? I'm putting you on the spot again.
Yes, I did have some struggles with where to fit in, you know. I shared my testimony on Tanakh Talk in December when I got to visit the studio live and meet William and his family. And I was a Christian for a long time, probably 40-something years, and so you've got that pounded into your head with, what the woman's role is. And I struggled with where do I fit in. I always kind of was a hard-headed, bold woman. and the whole being submissive and quiet and letting the husband make all the decisions and not having a say, that never sit well with me at all. And so not knowing a lot about the Jewish view of women, I did leave me with, now what?
Right.
What is the proper role, and what is my job now, And I found it so liberating and so peaceful, the way the Jewish view of women, and that was very comforting to me to know that, hey, we do have a say and we do run our home, and
Absolutely.
we should be equal partners. And
absolutely,
that was probably my biggest struggle.
Okay, and thank you so much for sharing that. I know you had mentioned one of the other things that had helped you was that you had heard Rabbi Singer was talking about the Noahides and being part of the redemption, and that you also have an important part too. So ladies, you're very important, and women are held very high in Torah, in Judaism. So it's a beautiful thing. And no, another thing is that you're righteous of the nations. So you've come and you're following along. And as Ruth, you're attached yourself. You've returned to Hashem, and you've moved away from those old beliefs. So I just encourage you, just hold on with that.
Yeah, good word.
So I want to talk about the Noahide laws, and we call them the Sheva Mitzvot. And so there's different obligations and responsibilities. And so with the Noahide laws is, number one, do not murder. And because a human life cannot be measured. And I've mentioned before, when you destroy a life, it's as if you destroyed the entire world. And when you save a life, it's as if you saved the entire world. And another, do not steal. And do not worship false gods. And you've acknowledged that Hashem is the one and only God, and know how much He loves you. Do not be sexually immoral, and that covers a whole area, and we won't get into so much. Do not eat a limb that was removed from a live animal. I just can't imagine that myself. And do not curse your Creator. And no matter how angry we may get, don't take it out verbally against your creator. Now, I've talked about hitbodedut, and like taking that time, going to the field and having that time with Hashem and having a conversation as if, like for Julie, you and I are having a conversation. And if you can't get to a field, then find a quiet place and be truthful. And I can tell you at those times when I was angry about something, I didn't take it out on Hashem, but I just was raising my voice, and because things I didn't understand, and I was just getting it out. And there's times where we do that, but I wasn't taking my anger out on him. And the 7th is setting up courts and bring offenders to justice. So they're very specific. And in this time, of, well, now what do I do? So we're continuing to learn with Torah, and over Shavuot and Shabbat, I spent a lot of time reading. And in one of the books I was reading, there were a couple of sentences that really stood out. And I just want to share with you. When a person first studies Torah, he encounters many doubts and difficulties, but the more he learns, the more he succeeds, and the sweeter it becomes. And he or she, it for all of us. And I know in times in life we have doubts and we have difficulties, and boy, some things are just so hard, like the situation that we've been dealing with. But the point is just to keep moving forward, keep pushing forward, and continue learning. I've been diving even deeper into my Torah study, and it's just been so wonderful. And we talked about the Sheva Mitzvot, the 7 Noahide laws, and I know there are some that just want to do more. For example, wanting to do Shabbat. Now, ladies, for our Noahide ladies, you can keep a Shabbat, but not the Shabbat, meaning that there are many laws regarding Shabbat. So for you, for keeping a Shabbat means that you would have to break something over Shabbat, like turning a light on and off, but still being able to have a Shabbat. Now, I received a question from one of our listeners. And again, ladies, please keep those questions coming. Just really love to hear from you. And know that in these times where you've just come out, Julie and I are here from you. Julie as Bat Noach, a daughter of Noach, a Noahide, and for myself, being Jewish, we're here for you. So I received a question from one of our listeners, and it was regarding wearing a tichel and modesty. And she's been listening to our shows, and thank you so much. And before I read your questions, I just want to tell you, great questions. Thank you so much for sending these questions in to me. So she was saying that Jewish women cover because they are commanded to. It's modest, and it keeps their hair for their husbands. But she was thinking that modesty was important for all women, and even if it's not commanded of her, is it still not important for her to be as modest as can be? And why is it not required of Noahide women to be as modest as Jewish women? If it is modest to cover one's hair, then how can I not? And if I want to truly be modest and respectful of my husband and those around me. And I love the questions because I know there's other women that struggle with that as well in those times of wanting to do more. So first and foremost, I did not say that it was not important for a Noahide woman to be as modest as a Jewish woman. I mentioned that Orthodox Jewish women are obligated to cover their hair. A married Noahide woman is not obligated to cover her hair. Now, if she desires to do so, if it's something that she really wants to do, then that's on her. I know many Jewish women that do not cover their hair, and they're modest in their dress and their actions, because modesty isn't just about what we wear, but it's also our actions and our speech. A woman can dress very modest, but her actions may say something different. For example, she could be modestly dressed, but yet be very flirtatious in her speech. Or when she bends over to pick something up and doing it in a way that might not be so modest. And I've talked about some of the women in Tanakh on the show who were very modest, for Yehudit and Esther. And again, I talked about Ruth last week. Ruth was shown to be the epitome of modesty in dress and in actions. And she was careful when she was gleaning in the fields. She didn't bend over to pick up the fallen stalks, because there were men also in the field on a different part, but could still see where the women were. And she only took what was needed for her and Naomi. Following Torah law, she did not take more than what was permitted. So she was modest in her actions inwardly and outwardly. And I've talked about tzniut in a past show, which is the emphasis of the outer self that enables the essential self to emerge. Meaning, again, that our behavior, our speech, our dress, and the way that we carry ourselves should convey the message to ourselves primarily, and others secondly, that we can be attractive, but not attracting. We don't want to attract unwanted attention. And I know, Julie, we talked about in the past show where, and there are women that may not dress as modest, but that's their choice, and we don't know necessarily where that person is. And I want to give you an example of a story that I just remembered about. And it was a story of a woman that had gotten on the bus. She wasn't as modestly dressed, but she got on, she sat down, and there were a lot of people there that were dressed religious, gave appearance that they were dressed religiously. And so, but she sat down and she took out her Tehillim, she took out her Psalms, and she started praying and reading and crying out to Hashem. And so she may not have made that choice to dress modestly, but she still has had such a love for Hashem and crying out. And this is just where she was in this part of her journey. And maybe later on, she might have started dressing more modestly. But the point is we may not know where someone is at, but for ourselves who want to dress modestly and carry ourselves in a modest way, and our speech and our actions, absolutely. And it's for all of us as women. So, one moment. Excuse me. All right, so let's continue on. I want to talk about another amazing woman in Tanakh. And I know I use the word amazing, but I mean, ladies, we really have amazing women in Tanakh, and we can learn so much from them. So I'm going to talk about Rahab, and who is Rahab. And some of you may be familiar with her. So first I'm going to speak about Joshua. And because now we're talking about the children of Israel, now continuing after they've been at Sinai, and they've traveled for a very far distance. And we may jump around a bit because there are places along the way before they got to Jericho. But I want to go ahead and talk because at this time, this is when we hear about Rahab. So Hashem had said to Joshua to arise and go over the Jordan. And this is in Joshua in the beginning. And he and all the people in the land, he was giving to the people of Israel. Every place Hashem had said, your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, just as I promised Moses. Hashem tells him of all the land, from the wilderness and Lebanon and to the great river, to the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites to the great sea, toward the going down of the sun, shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. Be strong and courageous, for you shall cause this people to inherit the land I swore to their fathers to give them. And he continues on a little further and saying, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened. Do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So Joshua sent 2 men, Caleb and Phinehas, which it would be Caleb and Pinchas. And he sent them secretly from Shittim as spies, and he told them, go, view the land, especially Jericho. And when they came, they went into the house of a prostitute whose name was Rahab, and lodged there. Now in the Talmud, it says that there were 4 women of extraordinary beauty in the world: Sarah and Abigail, Rahab, and Esther. Rahab is considered one of the most beautiful women in Tanakh. And this is in Talmud Megillah 15a. So it was told to the king of Jericho, behold, men of Israel have come tonight to search out the land. So the king of Jericho sent to Rahab, saying, bring out the men who have come to you, who entered your house, for they have come to search out all the land. But Rahab had taken the 2 men, and she hid them. And she said, true, the men came to me, but I did not know where they were from. And when the gate was closed, and when the gate was about to be closed at dark, the men went out. I do not know where the men went. Pursue them quickly, for you will overtake them. But Rahab had brought the men up to the roof and hid them under the stalks of flax that she had laid in order on the roof. So the men pursued after them on the way to the Jordan as far as the fords, and the gate was shut as soon as the pursuers had gone out. Now before the men lay down, Rahab had come up to them on the roof and said to them, I know that the Lord has given you the land, and that the fear of you has fallen on us, and that all the inhabitants of the land melt away before you. For I have heard how the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you when you came out of Egypt, and what you did to the kings of the Amorites who were before the Jordan, to Sihon and Og, who you devoted destruction. And the Talmud talks about this again in Debunking 116a, where it said, and even Rahab the prostitute said to Joshua's messengers, for we have heard the Lord dried up the water of the Red Sea before you. So she continues on and she said, as soon as we heard it, our hearts melted, and there was no spirit left in any man because of you. For the Lord your God, he is God in the heavens above and on the earth beneath. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that as I have dealt kindly with you, you will also deal kindly with my father's house and give me a sure sign that you will save alive my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and deliver our lives from death. So Caleb and Pinchas said, our life for yours, even to death. If you do not tell this business of ours, Then when the Lord gives us the land, we will deal kindly and faithfully with you. So she let them down by a rope through the window, for her house was built into the city wall, so that she lived in the wall. And she said to them, go into the hills, or the pursuers will encounter you, and hide there 3 days until the pursuers have returned. Then afterward you may go your way. The men said to her, we will be guiltless with respect to this oath of yours that you have made us swear. And they told her, behold, when we come into the land, you shall tie this scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down, and you shall gather into your house your father, your mother, your brothers, and all your father's household. So Caleb and Phinehas did as she told them. The men returned and reported to Joshua of all that happened. Now we know the story of Joshua at Jericho. So when he arrived with the men of war, they walked around the city 7 times. And Joshua said to Caleb and Phinehas, go into the prostitute's house and bring out from there the woman and all who belong to her as you swore to her. So Caleb and Phinehas went in and brought out Rahab and her father and mother and brothers and all who belonged to her. And they brought all her relatives and put them outside the camp of Israel. Rahab the prostitute, her father's household, and all who belonged to her, Joshua saved. And she lived in Israel. And because she hid the messengers whom Joshua sent to spy out. An amazing woman. Let's take a look at Rahab. As it's mentioned, she was a prostitute and she ran an inn. She was 50 years old when the 2 spies visited her. And even at 50, she was still regarded as one of the 4 women with extraordinary beauty. She heard all the miracles that Shem had done for the Jewish people to protect them and guide them throughout the 40 years. She was a prostitute for over the 40 years. Now, no, she wasn't at Mount Sinai to receive the Torah, so she didn't learn about Torah and what it teaches until after they arrived. She had such incredible emunah, such faith, because she waited for the Jewish people for 40 years. So let's think about this. In Talmud Zevachim 116b, the Gemara adds that the sages said with regards to Rahab, now you know when the 2 men came, she was 50, she waited 40 years. So she was 10 years old when the Jewish people left Egypt. And she engaged in prostitution all 40 years that the Jewish people were in the wilderness. When the spies came, she converted. So can you imagine the faith that she had in waiting, because she had already heard about the children of Israel from the time that she was a young girl at the age of 10 and waiting all that time. And Julie, you mentioned like 40-something years for yourself that you were involved in Christianity, I believe you had mentioned, right? It was like 40-some years before you came out. So I just thought it was interesting that kind of like a light bulb went off. I went, oh, look at that, because Rahab waited 40 years. And so it continues. And Rahab had said, may all of my sins of prostitution be forgiven me as a reward for having endangered myself with the rope, window, and flax, by means of which I saved Joshua's 2 spies. Because she had concealed the spies in her home and had let the king's men know that, oh no, you need to go run after them. They left. I don't know which way they went. And again, because of her faith, her emunah in Hashem. And I mentioned that she converted and became a Jew. Guess who she married? Any ideas?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. I know I'm putting you on the spot quite a bit. So you don't have to answer.
I don't even have a guess.
Okay. She married Joshua. Joshua, who was leading the children of Israel, whom Moshe before him. So she married Joshua. She converted and she married Joshua. And her daughters married into the priestly tribe of the Kohanim, and her sons became prophets, including her daughter Huldah. I mean, there is so much about this amazing woman, Rahab, but I'm not going to continue on. I mean, there's a lot more that Talmud talks about her. But what I want to say is that she turned from her old ways. And ladies, I want to tell all of you beautiful women that the past is the past. Just like Rahab had a past, we've all had pasts. The point is that we've turned away from the past, just like Ruth decided not to return to her old ways. She moved forward. And in this, we're all moving forward. And Baruch Hashem that we have a loving and forgiving God. And I know we talked about in the weeks leading up to Shavuot, we're working, making tikkun, we're working on our midot, our character traits, making repair and correction. And on Shavuot, we celebrated receiving the Torah. And we shouldn't stop just because we received. Now let's take it and let's continue to go to that new depth, that new level with Hashem in learning. And just to repeat something that Rabbi Singer had said, I'm going to repeat what you had mentioned to me, Julie, was for all you beautiful Noahide women, for all the B'nai Noach, all the Noahides, you are part of the redemption and have an important part too. We all have obligations and responsibilities. And just as I mentioned, as a Jew, I have obligations and responsibilities. 613 mitzvot. Mm-hmm. For the Noahide, you have obligations and responsibilities. It's just they're different. You have the Sheva mitzvot. You have 7 laws. But we're all Hashem's creation. We all have a part in bringing redemption, to bring tikkun olam, to bring repair of this world. It's just so important for us all to be a light to the world. And again, bring tikkun olam, bring that repair, and know that for you beautiful Noahide women, that yes, you matter. Yes, you have a part in this along with the Jewish people. It's all of us. And so we just need to continue learning and being a light to this world. So ladies, I encourage you just to continue moving forward. And again, let us know what's happening in your lives. If there's something you're struggling with, please reach out to us. Questions or anything, please let us know, because we will be happy to share with you and privately, and if you would allow us, if we can, we'll share it on the show so that others can be blessed and also know as well, because we're all continuing to learn as we move forward and bring this repair to the world. So love to all you beautiful women. Just keep shining.
Yes, keep shining. What a beautiful story. I just love that story and how you tied it all together, and the different parallels, and every show is better and better.
Oh, Baruch Hashem. Well, it's everything. We can learn so much from the women in Tanakh and learn so much of Torah, and that is relevant for us today. And yes, even in the things that we're doing.
Definitely. So
I don't want women to feel like they've struggled. It's like, I know, Julie, I wish I knew you so many years ago, to help you those times, but we're here now. Julie and I are here.
We are here, and we're tight, and we're friends forever, right?
Absolutely. Sisters.
And one of these days, I'm visiting the Holy Land.
Oh, absolutely. I have a room ready for you.
Excellent. Excellent.
that time. I look forward to it.
Me too. All righty. Well, if you ladies have loved this show, please like the video, share the video with your friends. Please consider donating to Tanakh Talk to keep these shows and the other shows that are on the air and funded. And we will see you all next week, same time, same place.
Look forward to seeing you.